ReZero Season 1 is one of the best starts to a series I've ever seen, and Natsuki Subaru is one of my favorite MCs of all time. So last week, one of my friends attempted to get me into ReZero by telling me in a non-spoiler way some of its best traits, and well, he succeeded. He convinced me to give the series a shot, and a day later I found myself awake at 6 in the morning, having binged 25 episodes and a movie. And so here we are. Welcome to my 100% blind review of ReZero Season 1. And before I start reviewing, I find it imperative that I apologize for two things. The first being my blind distaste for the Isekai genre. Up until now, I've only found one Isekai anime that I genuinely enjoyed, and that was Konosuba, a very character-driven show. I found that every time I jumped into an Isekai, it was the same generic plot with the same overused MC tropes, and more recently animes who try too hard to break that trope to the point of feeling somewhat contrived. But after ReZero, I feel like I have been humbled, and just saying I dislike an entire genre based on a select few experiences I've had is probably too childish of me. The second thing I need to apologize for is the delay of this review. So over the last week I've fallen quite ill and was unable to work for a bit, but now that I'm better, I assure you more consistent and better content will be coming. So please subscribe if you haven't already. So now without any further wait, let's jump into ReZero Season 1's blind review and its effect on me. I feel like my enjoyment for ReZero's first season came off its brilliant character writing and my constant amazements to the twists and the turns the show took to build on its characters. I thought that anybody can find certain aspects of each character relatable, and the interactions between each character built onto the overall ambience of the series, and this is especially true with our main character Natsuki Subaru. So a disclaimer right off the bat, I'm going to be hardcore simping over Subaru, as I feel like in season 1 of ReZero, not only was he the best character in the series, but I feel like he's probably in my top 5 favorite characters of all time. So let me get into why. From the word go, when we're introduced to Subaru, we see him as an average teenager, and from the dialogues, his clothing, and how he's going about living his life, we know that the series is portraying him out to be a very relatable person. Now, the best way to further elaborate and explore a character is to first build a bond with them, as well as their traits, and finally break their strongest points to see how they particularly react to it. Say, for example, Luffy at the Sabaody Archipelago arc in One Piece. In a series where Luffy is constantly epitomized to be the essence of hope and optimism, seeing Luffy break and have his strongest attribute taken away from him is what crafts that arc's brilliance. We see something similar happening with Subaru's character in ReZero, where we see his character development come in the form of his mental journey from being a ray of optimism to a shade of maybe even narcissism to completely losing his moral standing and self-belief. Now, I don't know what the ReZero community's view are on Subaru, but to me, Natsuki Subaru's imperfection as a human being crafts his perfection as a character. We see his flaws and his strong traits through different scenarios he's put into by his ability to go back to a starting point in time, and each scenario explores a different outcome, which further promotes different character interactions, and thereby it lets the audience have the exposition into the character's journey without shoving backstories or information dumps in vital moments. I also believe that Return by Death, which is the power Natsuki Subaru holds, is super fascinating, and it's what leads to his character being completed to me. In a character-driven show, the main substance comes from the bonds made between different characters, and when the interactions are taken out due to Subaru's ability, the progress is essentially null and void, and we often see this as a double-edged sword in Subaru's mental state. Speaking of his mental state, I want to further talk about that. I sincerely believe that constantly trying something and not achieving it can mess you up badly, because you're trying your best no matter what and you still fail. Our main character goes through that loop in episodes 17 and 18 many a times, where no matter what he does, even when he thinks he's come up with a perfect solution, we see Subaru not get the desired result. And what happens to him? Well, he mentally collapses. I think this scene hit me the most in the series, and it's one that I felt the most relatable in some regard. It just went to show that not everything can go your way, and it's important to rely on others to make up for your flaws, and that truly embodies what it means to live in a human society, where though things might not go your way, you must continue fighting. Subaru was shown to be a bit self-centered, and though he cared for others with a pure will, he misunderstood how his actions impacted others around him as well, which is something beautiful to see progress. Well, I think I've simped on Subaru enough. To sum up, I just think he's a peak character, and, this entire segment dedicated to what Subaru's mental state was completely necessary for me to talk about in order to describe where my love for the series comes from, because he plays such a pivotal role. Now, to touch up on the side characters for like 10-15 seconds, I thought they were pretty epic, especially the badass old man with a sword. Not gonna lie, his flashback with his wife got to me. And another thing I want to say is, Ram and Emilia are bloody wholesome. I know why people have them as their waifus, and I would too. I would have Emilia as my waifu. Now that the characters, which is the strongest suit of ReZero Season 1, is taken care of, I find it equally important that I look at the weakest point of the series. Okay, I lied. I don't think it's the weakest point of the series per se, but it's just an aspect that I feel sort of underwhelmed with in an otherwise 10 out of 10 series, which is the music. While watching Season 1, I found none of the soundtracks really memorable or stick out to me, and if you've seen my previous video, you would know how much music means to me, so I might be a bit biased on this, but I expected a bit more from it. I've been told that Season 2 has an excellent soundtrack, so I'm looking forward to that, but as of now, I'm just a bit underwhelmed with the music, and I just wish it was a bit more memorable, a bit more exuberant, and it stuck out a bit to me. But I felt like it fit in with the series well, so I can't really complain about it. It wasn't necessarily a bad part, but just a portion that I think could be improved upon. Music as a technical standpoint aside, I really appreciated the pacing of this series. At no point did I feel like the series stagnated, and once it took off, my word did it take off. And rather than waffling on more, I just think me finishing the entire series in one day is enough to describe my thoughts on the thrill aspect of the series. The fights and the art style of the series was splendid to look at, and it fit the theme of the series quite well. But a thing I would appreciate more is some clarity on the power scaling aspect of it, but that just might be the shonen tard in me speaking. To conclude, I just think that the fights were just a brilliant crescendo of all the emotional aspects which were leading up to it, and the whale fight. Right now on screen I'll have my reaction to the whale fight in real time because I was talking to a friend in between episodes and I was just hyped up for the entire moment. I just think it was beautiful to look at, frankly, and just seeing a character who's been struggling finally succeed in a fight, it gives you such a cathartic emotion, and it's just nice. One of the paramount things I look for in a series while reviewing it is the world building of it, because to me a good coherent world adds so much more to the narrative as well as the characters themselves. ReZero takes place in a medieval setting. Though normally I'm not a big fan of this particular setting, I believe when the series utilizes it well for the story, I think it's kind of cool. Shirayuki, which is one of my favorite romance animes, also took place in a medieval setting, and it used its world elements quite well in the story itself and brought plot points from it. And I think this series does that as well, in which we see the travel time come into effect and how that can be consequential to the plot. And overall, to summarize, I thought the world building in this series was quite well, and it was just decent. Nothing to blow me away, but nothing to, leave me there confused on how the society works or how the culture operates. I've been told by some of my friends who are light novel readers that the book further expands on the world and it enhances the world building to another degree, so I might have to give a look at the source material a bit later on as well. Now to conclude, I'm super happy that I picked this series up, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my ride so far and looking forward to what more this series has to offer. If I were to give a final rating to this series taking everything into consideration, I would probably give it an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, and if the music was super memorable, it might even be a 10 out of 10, but the music just wasn't there for me. Overall, the fandom of this series also seems super chill, so you can always get involved in the community and talk about the series. By the time this video goes up, I might even be through season 2, who knows. I might even be a light novel reader if I'm super addicted. But I guess that's it for this video, and that's my season 1 review for ReZero. I know it might not be super analytical or in-depth, but this is just my overall thoughts of the series and some of the first things that came to my mind. My season 2 blind review will be coming soon, and if you have feedback for this review, please let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys like, I hope you guys subscribe, and I hope you guys read Bakuman. Have a good day. Peace!